Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me one moment while I get things set up so that we can share this. We'll get going here in just a minute. Whilst I get everything going. All right. So, my name is Jeffrey Ford. I served in the 307th Engineer Battalion, 82nd Airborne Division I joined the service in 1988. I reached my duty station at Fort Bragg in the spring of 1989. In December of 89, I supported Operation Just Cause to Panama, and then deployed to Saudi Arabia September of 1990. I was working in supply at the time, and I had to push out our battalion equipment. So I was one of the last to get over there. I was a combat engineer. My secondary MOS was 76 Yankee. I was the supply specialist, company commander driver, and unit armorer for HHC, Headquarters Company, 307th Engineers. And when it came time to invade into Iraq, I switched duties and was assigned to the assault and burial platoon of HHC, in which I had a 5-ton dump truck and Miklik that I rolled into Iraq with the 1st of the 504 Infantry Division in support of Alpha Company, our line unit with the 307th Engineers. When the ceasefire, when the ground war ended, I was at Talil Airfield in south central Iraq, and then on March 4th, after having done some demolition operations at Talil, we closed in on Khamisiyah to just in time for the 1405 detonation of 37 bunkers, one of which included Bunker 73. Consequently, following that, I was at Khamisiyah hauling the demolition supplies, the C4, the deck cord, for the destruction of the warehouses, which was under the purview of the 307th Engineers, primarily Alpha Company, while the 37th Engineers under the 20th Engineer Brigade at Fort Bragg, and subsequently under orders from the 82nd to be attached to the 307th Engineers, they continued to prime and get the bunkers ready, ones that did not blow on March 4th. There was over 100 bunkers and over 50 warehouses, so I think all told there was 56 kilotons worth of ordnance. On March 4th, Bunker 73 was blown, which contained approximately 1,900 rockets out of the 2,100 that the Iraqis declared. That figure was derived from the final report from the DoD and CIA, where they downgraded the source terms, in other words, the number of rockets that were believed to be at the pit area, to 225. Now, without going into a whole lot of detail about the Khamisiyah depot destruction, that's covered in other reports, which you can find links to in the group. There is several preprints on ResearchGate. This is one here, my assessment of the meteorological conditions on March 4th, and there's also my theories as to much of what I believe and what research indicates might be an answer as far as how so many veterans became sick. Those will be covered in subsequent videos, but what I wanted to cover today primarily was the topic of AI when it comes to my particular research and the potential for research in the Gulf War illness arena, which I have been in now for 30 years, to take advantage of modern tools and techniques that enable a single veteran such as myself with enough knowledge and practice to really, it's a force multiplier. I'm able to do more now than I ever was. I consequently was discharged honorably in 1992, and it wasn't until 1995 I became aware of Gulf War veterans' illnesses and began researching as part of my associate's degree at the time. In 1996, when I had seen the 37th Engineers on 60 Minutes, and I was first alerted that we possibly had blown up chemical weapons, the next day I called the White House, and by the next week I was testifying before the Presidential Advisory Committee, and at the same time appointed the Executive Director of the National Gulf War Resource Center, where I served from October of 1996 until July of 1997, when I founded my own Desert Storm Assistance Foundation, where I worked to help fund veterans and their families to travel the country and stay at like Ronald McDonald houses while their veterans received treatment at places like the Risk and some of the facilities that were set up as specialty clinics at the time. After the year 2000, I got out of the veteran advocacy field. I had co-authored the Persian Gulf Veterans Health Act in 1998, which was the undiagnosed illnesses that then has been strengthened by the PACT Act more recently. I also worked on the Kansas Gulf War veteran study and some other things. I testified before House Veterans Affairs Committee 3 times on Persian Gulf veterans' illnesses in 1997, and I was a pretty fervent watchdog when it came to the Office of the Special Assistant for Gulf War Illnesses, the CIA, the National Security Agency, and the White House, as well as the VA. I'd never worked for any of those agencies. I was an advocate for Gulf War veterans. I would not say adversarial, but I got some things done. While I'm here, I've got a lot of documents that I've uploaded to GitHub, which this is this particular folder is a lot of the media articles at the time that I got off of Jim Turner's website. Jim Turner was an investigator for Presidential Advisory Committee. I also have uploaded some documents here. I believe, let's see, that's the same documents. These are research studies. And I'll be expanding this and building on it further. A lot of these, it's taken 30 some years to accumulate all this. Here's some of the GulfLINK files. Well, that's the folder that I started to. For instance, here's the Bernard Rosker from the Office of the Special Assistant talking about how they uncovered 66,000 more documents. This is indicative of how they've always trickled these releases out. Here's where I said I told of the meeting of Rostiker and his team on March 26, and I had uncovered a large file in California that was never included, which had 1,174 uninvestigated reports related to Khamisiyah. Whatever happened to those, I have no idea. Supposedly they're getting ready to finally release 37,000, I don't know if it's pages or documents that have been declassified and been sitting in a box the whole time. Who knows? I might point out here, well, we'll get back to that. So what I'm doing today is just kind of going over the scope of what I've been doing over the last year and a half and how I do it so that it makes some sense. For example, right here, we're going to look at my master Khamisiyah folder. This is all types of files. This is PDFs. These are reports. These are declassified documents. There are all sorts of documentation in here. These are pictures, working documents that I'll show you here pretty soon how artifacts using Claude AI are generated. But you can see right here is 64 gigabyte. There's 27,881 files and 1,574 folders. That's how extensive my current work is. So it's not, when I say I use AI to assist, I can assure you, in 27,000 files, you need AI to sort that stuff out. because in this folder is all sorts of, for instance, here is the United Nations document pertaining to their inspection of Khamisiyah, what they found, where they found it, when they found it. This describes the rockets at the pit area, how they sampled one of the rockets and drilled into it when the EOD personnel was shot in the neck with a steady stream of sarin. So they did confirm that the rockets were full of sarin, and they were able to test the purity of it. So that is just one document out of thousands and thousands. So let's hop over here to the broadcast. See if I've got anybody. Not yet. That's okay, because it will be saved and archived. Now back to what I was working on earlier in the week was, let's see, the GulfLINK had been slowly losing documentation. And when I say documentation, things like, here's the 1997 report from demolition operations at Khamisiyah, and when I say disappearing, this report in particular doesn't disappear, but these documents that are in support of their report, which there's none on this particular one, let's see, this is the 2000 report. We'll go here to bibliography. Yeah, see, they don't have any links for these. So for instance, let's see, let's look for something that would be in the GulfLINK files. Would likely be, here's the lead report from the interview of the 37th Engineer Battalion Sergeant Major. Since there's not a link here that goes back to the report, and I'll go up here to the search bar and we'll look at what is the GulfLINK home. Now if you look down here, this bottom banner, health.mil DHA, that didn't used to be there, but it has basically the same address as the Office of the Special Assistant for Gulf War Illnesses, which was shut down, I believe, in 2002 or 2000. That's in Falls Church, Virginia, which I call Spook Central. If anybody knows anything about Washington, that's where NSA is, CIA, things like that. So if you go up here to search and you look at the declassified documents, these are the releases. When they would release declassified material, they would put them here. Now it used to be, when I first did this with as a watchdog for Gulf War veterans, I was working with the Office of the Special Assistant as far as how this should be managed. Like you see here, no subject may be part of a document. That is prevalent throughout. because what they did was the OCR tech recognized these documents, and so this is the junk that came out, which made it very hard to discern what's going on here. So what I insisted on, and the only thing I can do here, here's what I do with something like this. So we're going to save this as a complete HTML page. And I'm going to save it where I can find it. And then I'm going to go into my AI. I'm going to go into one of my mini projects. These projects, like this one, Khamisiyah, you can see here, I have all sorts of documents that are uploaded into the knowledge base. Some of these are synthesized from other work that I've done. So, like, for instance, here is a technical analysis. It's a working document that is derived from source documents. So for like here, this is a VA Research Advisory Committee on Gulf War Veterans Illnesses, the 2017 final report. That's an example of committee recommendations, whatnot, that are added into this knowledge base. So then you can see over here on this side is all some of the work that's been done in this particular project. Army IG investigation, and that's kind of what I'm working on right now. So you go into this. This was done over a month ago. This is when I was trying to assemble stuff. That was particular thing was in response to a Facebook post. Here we go. Wind direction, reconstruction, and atmospheric analysis. Now, excuse me if I jump around. This was not really something that I was particularly planning to work on today, but so there's the Khamisiyah. All this is pretty much Khamisiyah. There is other stuff. So here's a folder. Just this one has to do with research studies. All the Gulf War research studies. So, basal ganglia study, linkages, and then you go in here and we look at, this is basically how I build stuff. We start up here, review this study on basal ganglia, and then I'm adding some of my theories into it that I discussed about that are in my ResearchGate paper. And then it will take my work, and then I use, review. I want to see how the basal ganglia study is connected to my work and potential linkages. So I tell it to use the knowledge base, all the documents uploaded in the chat, and then cite and reference per my style guide, so it comes out how I can work with it. So it will, come up with the linkage and tell me how it links upon one genetic variance. So then it will output a basic analysis of how that it interacts or or supplements my work. It's also recreating my work at the same time. So I'm building layers, basically. So then I explain how the studies indicate high intercellular levels, but my research contends we were experiencing low calcium. And this is how I kind of brainstorm stuff. So then it gives me ideas, it gives me connections, and then I ask, what if the deficiencies in other materials such as potassium electrolytes were exacerbating calcium deficiencies by dysregulating extracellular transport by stacking elevated levels of calcium in the cell as byproduct, or cellular hoarding of calcium due to starvation conditions in the cell. And so then it will search to see if any of that is a potential. Now, if you're using AI and you're asking questions, you will find that it's going to output to you what it thinks you want. So it's going to tend to want to agree with you. So be very aware that if it's agreeing with you too much, there might be something wrong with it. So, but this actually was very helpful in formulating some of my theories about what was happening with this. So it's not, this at this point is not going out, well, it is. It's going out and finding studies that I could possibly use. Now, I don't take this at face value. This is for my information purposes. So then I'll say, well, help me write this hypothesis as a study for submission. Well, that's just so that I can get it to kind of formulate some of these hypotheses in, like it says here, and to put it in a format. I'm not a medical researcher in the sense that I'm just now learning to publish, and there's a whole lot of intricacies. So while it will generate a document like this, now this is a strong caveat here. This is draft. It's a working document. So then I come back and I'm asking, are there studies that correlate time in theater with symptomology? Longer theater, more bottled water scrubbing. Basically, my theory is that bottled water, the RO water, scrubbed us of all of our trace minerals and elements that we need for intracellular exchange and the clearance of organophosphates, including pyridostigmine bromide and all the insecticides. So these are previous analysis that I had done, just like I'm doing here. That's one. This is another one. This is the bibliography, so that it has, and these are studies that I've already accumulated elsewhere and built this huge bibliography. As you can see, it's just massive, and it's taken years to collect, and it took even longer to try to work through. So here's actually what I'm going to get at coming up here is these documents right here. These are from GulfLINK. Now these are documents that I had in my collection, in my hard drive that I've had for decades. Because as I described, GulfLINK had systematically over the years removed a lot of these documents, such as this. Here's the lead report that I was talking about earlier. Now, what GulfLINK has now started to return some of these documents, and here's an example. So, like I said before, when it used to be you had, this is just the text file. It used to be that there was the image here. And here's the reason why. We just saved this page. And now I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to load it into the AI as an HTML because it's such a train wreck from the OCR recognition. I need it to transcribe into readable formatting. And so it's going to read that junk that was I need to close some of these windows, right? That was this junk right here. So I'm going to pull this down. And then I'm going to pull that down so we can see it. So there it is. It's regenerating this document that was an absolute mess. See this? It's not of much use. And that's because in 1997, the OCR abilities, the text recognition abilities, were just really bad. And this is actually a good example here. But see, they don't clean these things up. Now remember, this was a document that was no subject, maybe part of a document. So we don't even know. So if you're using the search engine here, which is pretty much broken now, and you search for Iraqi chemical capabilities, this is not going to come up. It's not going to come up. Now they know this. If they have the ability to text recognize and all that, they could have renamed all these. They didn't. Why? They don't want you to find it. That's why. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So what does it actually say? Well, let's see. What is it regarding? The daily evaluation of captured Iraqi military chemical training records, July, August of 1990. That's pretty serious stuff. It's pretty important stuff. It's captured documents. Field training lab. These are captured Iraqi documents that the team, the DoD declassification team, went through, and for their report, they used OCR to text recognize the original message, and then they threw this junk out that is improperly named. Why? You tell me. So here's what we do. And this is not illegal. This is not what they call jailbreaking or hacking. I'm not busting into any systems at the DoD. I'm simply taking advantage of publicly released information. These were posted in 1996. There's nothing secret or classified about any of this stuff. It's just they give you this junk. I mean, this is just spam. Look at this. This is junk. They don't want you to see that. If they did, they wouldn't leave it like that. And keep in mind, this health.mll and DHA had shut all this down. Now, I made some phone calls. I wrote some letters. Some other people did too. Ron Brown, some other folks. to make them aware that we knew what was going on. Now, it's funny that over 12 years, mind you, they've been systematically taking these documents off of the web. They moved them on to Google servers, I guess. But they'd been disappearing. The links were dead. If you click the link, it was 404 not found. With the flick of a switch, literally, 44,000 documents suddenly showed back up. Well, if we go back out here and we look at all these releases, all right, there's an interesting one. Solomon Pack, chemical biological weapon. Now this is a little bit better text recognized, but still, you don't really know. Here's another one. There's one storage bunker there that could be used to store biological. Botulinum toxoid and anthrax confirmed, da-da-da-da. But if you go back and look at the link, it just says, gives you a number. IRR is an UNSCOM, it's United Nations document, typically facilities and agents for. But guess what? They don't put botulinum or anthrax on them, on the title. Because if you're searching for anthrax or botulism, this will not come up. They know this. Let's look at another set. All right. Now, there's your infant formula. There's all sorts of stuff here. You're welcome to review it. But the image of these documents is gone. So that's what I'm trying to advocate and remind people involved in this, that the original GIFs need to show back up. Now, if you go in here to the CIA, let's see. Some of these places, I had some going earlier. Okay, here's an example. There's your text, which is an OCR, and then the image. Well, there's some cool redaction, but it says Abu Ghraib plant has been carried as a suspect biological warfare facility since 1988. What does the text say? Nothing. Oh, wait. Yep. Carried as a suspect biological warfare since 1988. What they do by not having the images there is reduce your ability to substantiate what this OCR. See, to facilitate electronic access, this document has been reformatted to eliminate information that does not pertain to Gulf War illnesses or that is classified. A copy of this redacted document in original format is available upon request. Well, good luck trying to request to FOIA any of these documents, because most recently in the last year or so, they boxed them all up, and they boxed them and put them with documents that were still classified, that they had not run through the declassification process, and they stuck them in the National Archives along with the Ark of the Covenant, and so that you couldn't get at them. And that's another thing that we're working on right now. There's the original. So what I'm doing, because since they've flipped this back on, and what I want is all these, and I want all these. So here's all the ones from the Joint Chiefs. Da, 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 da. Again, no image. Maybe part of a document. Well, what's it say? Well, it looks like some Naval Battle Group stuff. Status of chemical biological defense outfitting as of 15 October 1990 in these battle groups. I would fathom to guess that no subject may be part of a document is a really good way to hide stuff. In fact, that's a great place to find stuff. So what's this one say? Reference for sync for, which is, and see, it'll tell you right up here what sync for is. And these are all the units that this went to. So sync 4 is Fort McPherson, Georgia. Is the White House Situation Room. So this right here, CIA, DIA Washington, Secretary of Defense, Joint Chiefs. This is a high level. This is amendment to Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, deployment order that directed deployment of 2 chemical reconnaissance detachments in sort of Operation Desert Seal. Now, if you're trying to search this using Boolean search, this is junk. It's absolute junk. In fact, if we do this, here's what I have to do when it comes to using the AI on something like this. Because it is such junk, I have to actually tell it. Text encoding. So, usually I save them as a PDF, but I'm just doing an HTML version. So, I need transcribed and use the knowledge base, which is basically telling the AI to use everything that it's got, and web search if needed to extrapolate garbled OCR. That tells it, so in other words, if there's gaps, if there's characters missing and all that, I'm giving the AI permission to basically do what I just did, and that is read between the lines. So I'm not asking it to interpret it. I'm not asking it to tell me what it says. I'm saying I want this transcribed. And I need to stop it right here and tell it verbatim. I don't want it telling me what it thinks it says, because I don't think this was verbatim. I know it's not, because it put these headings in here. I don't want that. And that's what I'm trying to stress in this video. You have to manage an AI. You have to know what it's doing, where it's pulling from, how it's outputting. And see, now it's got all the slashes, everything that is indicative of an actual OCR text recognized document. This over here is junk, and what I'll do is I'll go back in here and I will tell it to fix that, because I don't even want that. I don't even want that in the AI knowledge base, because stuff like this can result in AI bias and what they call cytogenesis, basically AI contamination. Because when it comes up with stuff, it is far more likely to perpetuate that rather than its transcription of verbatim. In other words, when it thinks it has come up with an idea or something, oh, see. Now this is exactly what I'm talking about. All right, right here, down here, document context. Now, this is where I have to discipline the AI. user requested a verbatim extraction. I want no comments, no analysis whatsoever. Strict guidance. And then AIs love it when you double asterisk caps. No interpretation. Nothing. Pure verbatim. It's basically an ass chewing for AI. I don't want any of this crap. And believe me, see, I don't want this routing distribution shit. It's just trying to make things easier for me. That's great. I love it. But it's not what I want. I want it strict, because I don't need the AI thinking for me. I already know this stuff. I want pure documentation. I just want them to fix the crappy version that's online. Nothing else. So I'm even going to X that out so that goes away. And let's see now what it's supposed to look like. And this is what I mean by, and I tell people, if you think using AI is easy and it's a shortcut and it's going to do the work for you, you do not use AI and you do not know nothing about it. Okay. So, there we go. That's with all the defects and the flaws. Now, because that way I know that the AI has structured it, cleaned it up exactly how it came out. From there, now I can say, now fill in the defects as instructed. Now I want to keep this one that it just did, because that's the source right there. Keep source as is. Create a new artifact. Artifact is this over here. So now I'm going to tell it to make a new one. Just fix the defects. So like the word shield right here, S-H-I space I space E-L-D. I want it to clean all that up. So that's what it's doing now. So this one, now I can download it, I can add it to the project, I can publish it, or I can download it as a PDF. I'm gonna download that so that it looks like this. And then here it is cleaned up. Remember where the word shield and all that was messed up? Let's see. So it's gone in and filled a lot of this stuff in. So now it's readable. See, the words are fixed. That is using AI as a tool. Now, and it's given it a title, corrected. It's given the source, the link, so that I can cite it if I need to in a paper, the file name, the number of pages, and the page number if it's multiple pages. So now I can download that. I can add it to this project if I want. So then the AI knowledge base will have this in this over here. But it's just one file. It's not that important with what I'm doing in this particular project. So I go back out here to projects, and we'll go down here to, this is back when I was first gathering up the GulfLINK documents that I had, and I was creating scripts that could go in. So I would load, see there, these are GulfLINK documents like the one I just went through. See here, here's another one. And so that I don't have to read the 308 of these things. So what I've done was created this document classification protocol, which what I'm going to do is, so it's got all this classification process. And what I'll do is go over here so I don't have to I'm going to, because I did this a long time ago and I don't want to search for the protocol in my files, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to tell it, okay, I'm going to paste it here, and it'll create a new artifact, a new document. Recreate this protocol in artifact. I'm just gonna have it regenerate it, and then what I'm gonna do is demonstrate what I did the other day was to go out here. You go back out here to this page, and I'm going to view the page source. In other words, anywhere on the internet you can right click and you can basically look at everything that it takes to build that page, including all the links to the documents. See? And all the text. It's just basically what's behind the scenes anytime you open a web page. So I'm going to copy, paste, and then I'm going to go out here to my here's a new page to process same way as before, because I was doing this the other day. And then I'm going to copy paste that HTML source in there so that it has the links. And this is some kind of freaking deal that it decided to make for me. It's cute, but it's not what I wanted. What this apparently has done is kind of giving me a graphic interpretation. We'll get back to that in the meantime, let's go out here and see what's going on with this. This is the Joint Chiefs collection, January 1796. Here's all the declass OCR text only. These are text only documents, and it knows this because we were already doing this before. So save this. So we're going to save the page source. So I'm going to copy, paste into Notepad, new one. I'm going to paste this, and then I'm going to save it as joint JCS. And I let this is what the AI is great for right here. See, look at this. Da 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 da. Writes Python, really great. It would take years to learn and hours to write. I'm not doing it. So I'm going to save this as that file name as HTML. I'm going to save it to the appropriate folder where I'm working right now. And then I'm going to download the script for it. I'm going to find that here, and I'm going to simply drag it over here into folder number 4. And then I'm going to copy that Python command, and then I'm going to go to my folder. And this is all perfectly legal. I'm going to go up here to this folder, type in CMD for command line. It's going to open up my window, and then I'm going to paste that command into there. Now what's going to happen is it's going to go out to that page, and it's going to not do anything because, let's see, what did I do wrong here? Well, let's let the AI figure it out. So I copy that and paste it back up here. What's going on, buddy? Right. It was looking for images. Now I need to tell it something important. When downloading link documents, it's pulling images instead of whole HTML files like banners, icons. That's from something before that I had not corrected yet. So then it comes back and says, yeah, the downloader is saving the first image it finds on the page rather than the actual document. The document is not a GIF. It's HTML based. So it needs to capture the page, not the images. And then this is where it drives you crazy. It asks you if it wants you to fix it. And it's like, yeah, well, what do you think we're doing here? So I assure you, I end up screaming in caps with asterisks at the AI all the time. It's a real freaking pain. I don't know what the stream is doing right now, but whatever. Where was I? Okay. What? Skip line. What? What? I don't know. So we're going to go back here and we're going to try it again. Nope. Not that. We want hopefully the same. Give me the command. Sometimes you just, it's like talking to a freaking 2-year-old or an old man with hearing problems. You got to repeat yourself over and over. So we're going to go in here. Oh, there we go. So it has a timer so that it's fetching these files slowly and random time intervals in between the time that it does. Not because I'm trying to hack anything or jailbreak or backdoor. I just don't want the algorithms at DoD to see me as a threat, because I'm not circumventing anything within the system. This is running off my machine. It's not throwing these up on WikiLeaks or some shit like that. It wouldn't matter if it did, because this has all been declassified for 30 years. It's just I don't want the front door of DoD to slam shut in my face while I'm trying to do this. There again, there's nothing illegal about it, nothing unethical about it. This is just saving time so that I don't have to go in here every single page and find it and download it. So, what does that look like then? So we're going to go in here and we're going to look at some of this. Let's see. So I mentioned the lead reports earlier. And this is, again, how AI can be used as a tool. So I was working on full project. Okay, so this is where it really becomes useful, because now I can go in here. This is one that I did the other day. I have all the pages referenced. Lead reports. So I'm going to pick about 20 of these, because that's all you can upload at a time. And I'm going to load them in to the AI. And this is Claude. Now, I have the max plan. It's $200 a month, because I can assure you the free plan, you're not going to be able to do this. And I'm going to tell it, you can tell it whatever you want, whatever you're looking for here. So let's see. What do I want to do here? Let's see. Let's create an artifact. Artifact just means a note card. Now an artifact can be a PDF, it can be a Google Doc, it can be a Markdown, it can be text, it can be a CSV spreadsheet, it can be whatever you want, whatever formats that you need it in. So create an artifact that transcribes verbatim each lead report. So it's going to read all those, which normally, I mean, look. So it's going to come in here and extrapolate all that into usable documents. And that's what it's doing now. Now let's go back out here and see how our downloads are working. And what this will do is it will pull up this file at that link and download it. If it's got more than one page, right here, it understands the naming conventions, so it'll do page 1, page 2. Page 1, page 2. Let's see how far it's gotten. So 67 out of 91. It's still going. So it will go, when it hits a page, it will go until it gets a placeholder that says no page found. So then it knows to stop, because that means there's no third page. So here's one. Now what I'll do is I've copied that, and I could go out here to my Google Drive, and what I've done is spent not just 30 years, but the last several days doing exactly what I talked about, and start to build a report. And I do that like right here. So these lead reports were generated back in June of '96 when the Department of Army Inspector General, was the Persian Gulf Illness Investigative Team through June through December. We're conducting these interviews, and out of these interviews come these lead reports. And these lead reports look like this. So page 1 of this lead report. This was the staff sergeant with the 60th EOD. This was interviewed. Well, it was created October 23, 1996. His unit was the 60th EOD in support of the 82nd. Talked about how they set up 2 bunkers as test blows. That was bunker 98, 99. They were blown on March 3rd. He drove around advising the engineers, entered about every other bunker to see how things were going. That's kind of scary. No wonder they missed the 2,000 rockets that were in bunker 73. The engineers were near the side of the canal to the bunker complex, and the EOD were outside the canal. During this destruction, an MA alarm did go off, and he saw engineers going to mask, and then he masked. Performed M256 kit, which was negative. There were a lot of civilians around. Then the cook-offs started going on. Kickoffs landed in their general area. And recalls material being brought in Blackhawks. Actually, they were brought in on Chinooks. And then we found not a flatbed trailer, but an enclosed tractor trailer full of Russian explosives that we had to use because they just couldn't bring it in fast enough. So he's talking about the pit area, stacks of rockets, da-da-da-da-da-da. So all this then is then synthesized. And, of course, let's go back out here to where I was building this document, which is, we'll show you kind of the real pain in the ass that it goes to trying to go through these reports. This is just where I was building this in another project. Sorry, hang on. And we're going to wrap this up here pretty soon. Okay. Here's what it goes into building that document using some of these, and this is actually a continuation of another one. Let's see. So like here, it'll crank out a document from a compilation of other documents that I've been working on for a week. Here's a perfect example right here. I type, "This is all wrong." On November 15, 96, 3 days after Asagwe assumed investigative responsibility, a press conference was held there. Sometimes the AI it has a real problem with temporality, with timelines. So then it turns around and reconfirms what it got wrong. What's wrong with this passage? The Leavenworth press conference was May. Confirmed, da-da-da-da. And then it turns around and gets it wrong around. Just not right. Check the references. Then it's actually checking the reference, which is there's nothing wrong with the reference. And then I have to clarify some more. So it goes through here, and here's a perfect example of my frustration. No, now you're fucking it all up. Stop. I'm fabricating connections. So you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what it's putting out here. So then I have to put more documents back in here so that it understands what it says and what I'm trying to get across. So then it'll generate another paper, another version. And then I said, what is this paper about? No way to open the paper. These headings are too cutesy. So then I have to admit stuff. Then it puts it out again. Then, I'll go give it another document, and it'll, I have to read every bit of this and go, okay, no, that's not right. That's not right. And then I have to give it some more documents. And then I have to explain negative, corrections needed. It rebuilds the document. Primary investigator was also at the Doug Way test for the Leavenworth officer prep conference. More stuff. Web search Fort Belvoir. It's also the IG school. So then it may have to go out on the web. And some of this is because I use multiple projects within Claude and I bounce the stuff back and forth. So this is where I still get really pissed off. Look, find the subject matter in the chat regarding Belvoir, connect, stop cherry picking. I want the deep dive. Because it'll have a tendency, it'll find something that looks like it's what you want and it'll stop. So it helps if you say deep dives, because then it starts giving me what I wanted. So then I have to give it more information, more information, more information, and we'll just show you how extensive this is. On and on and on and on. On and on and on. See? More papers. More reports. More. And I have to check everything. This is not true. So, there is no. Then I have to. When I'm starting in capital letters, that means I'm pissed off. No. August 96, CIA produces northeast wind conclusions internally. On and on and on and on. So you could see, if anybody thinks that there's anything easy about using AI, it's not. You understand? Because every time that it puts one of these out, one of these artifacts to build this paper, I have to go through and I have to read every single line. And then I come back, and this one I did a screenshot where it got it wrong. Ending sentence with a number is poor formatting. Check entire document. You got the citations all wrong. So it's not even a matter, often, it's not even a matter of a factual area. It's just poor formatting. So here we go. Continuing to go. And then we get to here. Live broadcast, Gulf War illness research. Let's see how our downloads are complete. We'll go over here now to folder number 4. Let's find, and I don't know why. Number 4, for some reason, it's gone to stick it is somewhere that I didn't want them. I'm just trying to, okay, today. That's not it either. Well, anyway, somewhere there's a whole huge folder. All files are in downloads. GulfLINK downloads. Okay. Well. GulfLINK downloads. Today, Joint Chiefs. And here they are. There we go. All the CIA documents. Those are from earlier. Those are the actual images. These were all missing till recently. New folder. Yeah, I'll have to go back through, figure out, let's see, where these are actually at. Anyway, that concludes this video. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I hope this clarifies, the difference between just throwing ChatGPT, hey, well, give me everything you got on anthrax. It don't work that way. It don't. But thank you, folks.